You're listening to Front Row with Samira Ahmed.
Hello, tonight, the Artistic Director of English National Opera, Annalise Miss-Kimmin, on reviving The Handmaid's Tale and the creative challenge ahead. And speaking of opera... Sweep and Sooty are back on the road with Sooty's magic show. They join me with their friend and fellow magician Richard Cadell to talk about why they're still thriving nearly 75 years after the Sooty glove puppet first debuted. Now, if you grew up watching Sooty, the silent yellow bear, on TV, you are in fine company. No less a fan than former Beatle George Harrison once wrote of the glove puppet that Sooty symbolises the speed at which I wish the world was still turning, and the Sooty experience continues to sustain real survival of childhood innocence, a safe haven from the bombardment of today's aggressive entertainment for children. Here's a reminder of the bear and his friend Sweep in action with several of Sweep's relatives.
Just a minute, who are you? You're Sweep's dad? And this is Sweep's mum? Sweep, we've got the whole of your family here. Not quite? What do you mean, not quite? There's his other brothers? What do you mean his other brothers? How many brothers are there? There's another 7 in the litter? Well, there's already enough people here. It's a shame they couldn't make it, isn't it? They can. But who's that? There's another brother there. Hang on a minute. There's somebody else here. Sue, you better come and sleep in my room. The place is full of sweets, for goodness sake.
A clip from the ITV show with former presenter Matthew Corbett. Sadly, we never quite got to hear Sue, but she's still very much a part of the team. Originally created by Harry Corbett in 1948 after he bought the bear puppet on Blackpool Pier, Sooty's magic show is back on the road, touring regional theatres for the first time since the pandemic. He's now owned by magician Richard Cadell, who's been presenting the Sooty show since 1999. And I'm delighted that Richard joins me on the line from Swindon, where he's on tour, with Sooty and I think Sweep. They're both with you. Am I right, Richard?
They are. Sweep's silent at the moment, and of course Sooty is here. A great person to interview on radio, of course. But they are, yes, we're in the glorious hotel as we tour the country with the magic show, which has been a wonderful experience, given that we haven't been in theatres for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's great to be back out there.
And I saw the show in Epsom a few days ago, and I was really struck by how many young children were enthralled, as well as their parents and grandparents. What's the secret of Sooty's enduring appeal?
Well, do you know what? It's just the simplicity of it. And you touched on it in your introduction. It is a safe haven for all things that are, good and innocent. And it's that wonderful combination of slapstick humour. It's children running rings around adults ultimately, and Sooty and Sweep and Sue being the children, and me being the token adult, as Harry was, and as we heard Matthew. And children resonate with that. And as you'll have seen in the audience, I make a gag at the beginning of every show. I say, "Oh, Sooty, the adults are more pleased to see you than the children." And the thing is, it's true. And the ratio of adults to children in our audience is 50-50, if not more. And I think it's the fact that it just does appeal to all ages. It's a timeless piece.
Now, older listeners or those who are not as familiar with the show might think, it's Harry Corbett with a glove puppet. But although sometimes it is just you and Sooty, there are multiple puppeteers in the show. How does it work? I don't know what you can say.
Are you allowed to say that? You're blowing the magic. You can't talk about
Sooty covering his ears.
Sooty's looking very bemused now. I think you have to remember actually that we're not really doing anything new. And that's what I love about this show, is that it started off, Sooty's life was as a stage performer with Harry Corbett, and then Sweep came, and then the television came afterwards. So Harry and Matthew particularly, were always presenting elaborate stage shows. And I think people who haven't been to see a Sooty stage show almost possibly expect almost like a Punch and Judy kind of booth. And as you've seen, it is anything but. And Sooty does have a lot of helpers. But personally, I feel the truest classic moments of Sooty are those little one-on-one moments where, where it's not. I like the simple moments, the little moments with me and Sooty. That's where I feel the laughs are the strongest and the focus is the strongest.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you should say that, and because you use some of the old routines, and we have a clip of you doing one of Harry Corbett's original routines, which I saw get an amazing reaction from the children in the audience. And this is the bedtime story. Let's have a listen.
I thought you were going to sleep. You've got a lumpy pillow. Well, you'll have a lumpy bottom if you hit me on the head with it again. Oh, well, look, here's your pillow. Now put your head on it. I say, Sooty, put your head on it. Put your head on it. He's not normally like this. He's just excited because all of you are here to see it. Because all of you are here to see it. Put your head on it.
It was amazing. That got the loudest reaction from the audience when I saw it. How important is Harry Corbett's influence on the show now?
It's very important to me, personally. I feel, Harry was always and will always be Sooty's father. And I personally feel that it's important that we stay very true to his format. Matthew did, and I have. And it's wonderful to take that routine, which was Harry's favourite Sooty routine, putting Sooty to bed, and of course Sooty won't go to sleep and he wants a bedtime story, and so it goes on, which is of course like most children, are at bedtime. To take that routine that Harry created in the 1950s and 50, 60 years later, put it on a stage virtually word for word the same, and hear it get that huge reaction, it's very important to me, but it's also important to Sooty. And in this crazy world we're in, how wonderful to present material to children that's 50 or 60 years old and it still works. Children haven't changed. It's reassuring to know that it's still, it's still working in the way it does.
Yeah. Can I ask, you first appeared on the show in 1985 when you were a teenager. How did that come about on the Sooty Show?
Well, it was a life-changing moment. I mean, it really was. I wanted to be the next David Copperfield or the next Paul Daniels, and I was a very budding teenage magician, and I won a competition the Magic Circle ran called the Young Magician of the Year. Part of the prize was to go on the Sooty Show and present on television a magic trick for Sooty. And I had been a super fan, and to go behind the scenes and see how it all worked, I was just enthralled. And I made a pal of Matthew Corbett and Brenda Longman, who is the long-standing, still is the voice of Sue, and Brian Sanford, who's long been the man behind Sweep. And I became sort of lifelong pals with these people, with never the intention or knowledge that one day Matthew would retire. So it was fortuitous that sort of when Matthew hit his 50s and said, right, that's it, ITV went, well, we can't stop this, this is so popular. Somebody must fill your shoes. We need to carry this on. And they kind of said, well, hang on, there's this geeky magician that's a little bit obsessed with this, and maybe he's the guy. And thank goodness they had that conversation, because I have adored my 20-something years, and it's just amazing to take these characters, to be part of this dynasty and this incredible legacy, and to carry it on and have it still work so well. It's more popular than it's ever been.
What I've got to ask is, I know it's called the Sooty Show, but I know, just canvassing opinion between me and my friends, Sweep is the one that I think most children really love the most. He's very naughty, and I know he's there with you. Can I ask, I kind of think he's like Lancelot to Sooty's King Arthur. It's named after the king, but Lancelot's the rebel that everyone likes. What's your feeling about this?
Oh, I think Sweep arguably is more clever. And Samira, this is the second time you mentioned Sweep, and I know you personally are going to be hugely disappointed if you don't get to talk to him. So I am going to bring him here. Let's see if we get. Come on, Sweep. He's just coming over now. You have to say hello to him. Now
hello, Sweep. How lovely to welcome you onto front row.
Can you tell what he's saying? I hope you can. I bet your listeners probably can.
Yeah, I know.
He's very happy to be here.
I'm too overwhelmed.
He's gonna say a little hello to everybody listening.
Okay.
Here we go. Say hello to everybody.
Oh,
you go,
well, thank you,
see.
Sweep. You kept him after his bedtime. Do you know,
He's off now. Bye. It was
Bye, Sweep. I came to see your show with a veteran children's TV scriptwriter, Gail Renard, who wrote Pipkins and writes Monty and Co. And she said that a lot of the stuff you were doing on stage, she doesn't think you could necessarily get onto children's TV now, like puppets hitting each other with hammers.
Oh, no, it's not that bad.
True?
It's a big plastic thing. It's not a horrible hitting. Because do you remember there was recently, only a few years back, they did a commemorative stamp with Harry Corbett holding Sooty in a hat, with Harry, with Sooty holding a proper hammer. I mean, a proper hammer, and whacking Harry over the head with it. We certainly don't go there. But there is a joke within our show, and the director, wonderful director Adrian Headley, who directs the television show, there's almost a running gag. He went, well, you wouldn't get away with that on CBeebies. Oh, my goodness, you'll never get away with this. But because it's Sooty and Sweep, you know, they can throw a pie. It's the slapstick, timeless comedy. And, you know, I think people kind of buy it because they don't want it changed. They want it the same as it was. So we be careful. We don't do stuff that that children might replicate that would harm them, but we do sell a bit close to the wind because there's no slapstick stuff out there anymore. Yeah. It's good, clean fun.
No,
and you saw the reaction. They love it.
Absolutely. A little factoid I need to double check with you. So the show's been on TV in some form since the 50s. Why did it move from the BBC to ITV in 1964? Is it something to do with Sue?
Yes, it's a famous story. Harry wanted to give Sooty another companion, and he platformed to the BBC that he thought Sooty should have a girlfriend. And they came up with this little panda called Sue, and the head of the children's television at the time said, oh, we don't want that. That's sex creeping in. And the papers ran a story, Sex and Sooty, and it all went a bit sort of off the rails. And the BBC actually, I think the reason why, they just thought that it was old-fashioned and that it had done its time. And they didn't renew the contract. And I know personally, because I'm still friends with Matthew Corbett, and I know personally Harry took that terribly when they said they weren't recommissioning his show. I mean, I did get to know the Corbetts, and Harry, I've known about this through the Corbett family. I didn't meet Harry, sadly. I was my time was after he passed, but Harry did treat Sooty like his child. I mean, completely obsessed with his characters, and for him to lose the Sooty show was absolutely devastating. But it was only a few days later that ITV went, get on over here because this is great, and they breathed life into it. Harry introduced Matthew, who gave it that young zest, and Matthew had the foresight to keep it modern. Harry was becoming not old-fashioned, but it needed a new, fresh look, and Matthew gave it that.
Can I ask, you invested £1 million in buying the Sooty brand. What are your plans for Sooty and Friends?
That's very kind of you to yes, I did, but it was out of passion. And
it wasn't a criticism. It's just an observation. You have invested in this.
It's just a lot of money. But I was his presenter before I invested the money. Very quickly. I mean, I'd been cast as a presenter. I presented for many years, and it was going to finish, and it was for sale, and it was going to be horrible and go all the wrong way. And together with my brother, I said, we have to save this. We have to buy this because it's going to finish. If we don't, it's going to stop, and it can't. And we sort of saved it. So my plans, we have wonderful plans. I mean, after all this time, there's a wonderful theme park in Exeter called Creeley Theme Park. They're building Sooty Land. It opens in a few weeks. I cried when I saw it. It's just testament to 75 years worth of children's entertainment that somebody would invest that sort of money to build that permanent fixture. There's a new TV series we're shooting this year, so it's still very much popular, very popular on ITV.
Who's that for ITV?
Yes, it is. It's been the home of Sooty now since the late 60s, and they love it, and we love them, and we're doing that, and then we're going to carry on with all the live shows, which is personally where I love, feel most at home, and where I feel Sooty is most at home, in front of real children and people that remember it and love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard Cadell, thank you so much. And I know that you're really passionate about the worlds of fun, fair and variety, as well as Sooty and Sweep and Sue. Sooty's Magic Show continues touring until Sunday, the 24th of April. I hope Sooty and Sweep are tucked up in bed now, and they'll be making a new ITV series in the autumn.